Greetings, Astrophiles. This is Pat Cosgrove from Cosgrove's Cosmos. As some of you know, I've recently begun creating my own custom software to enhance my astrophotographic pursuits. And some of those I'm making available for others in case they find some value from it. In this video, I want to introduce the Astro Color Mixer, which is my first PixInsight script. Before I jump into the script itself, I want to explain why I built it. For a long time, even though I do most of my astrophotography processing in PixInsight, I would often bring an image into Photoshop near the end just to polish things up. And one of the things I polished was the color. And the main reason for this was I liked using the camera raw filter, especially the color mixer aspect of that tool. Now, PixInsight has a lot of excellent color tools. I use the curves tool, color mask, pixel mask, all of the usual tools you would think of that allow you to manipulate color, but what I kept missing was the convenience of the Photoshop color mixer, being able to quickly adjust hue, saturation, and luminance by color family in one spot and instantly seeing the result. So I decided to see if I could create my own version of that would work inside of PixInsight. And today we're going to look at that tool. Let's get started. So here we are in Photoshop with my most recent image of the Wizard Nebula. I wanted to show you the color mixer tool that I keep coming back to. While in Photoshop, you just go to the filter menu and choose the camera raw filter. This brings up a palette of tools that lets you manipulate the image. And the tool that I'm most interested in is the color mixer, which you can see right in here. This breaks the color space into some convenient hue vectors with a nice friendly slider that allows you to adjust the image. You can adjust by hue, you can adjust by saturation, or by luminance. And I found this is a really easy tool to use. I can come in here and take a look at this image and say, geez, I wish the warm areas in here were a little bit more saturated. So I can go over and take a look at the oranges and I start to adjust. And I'm going to exaggerate this to make sure it comes through on the video. But here now I've made this much more impressive. I can go over to luminance and say for the same thing, I want to see if I want to change the luminance for that particular color family. I can make it brighter. I can make it dimmer. I think I'm going to make it a little bit brighter there. What about these wonderful blues? Can I do something there? Let's take a look at what we can do with the blues. Take this, we can brighten them up. I think I'm going to darken them down to get a little bit more saturation. Let's go back to saturation. Do a quick adjustment there. If I wanted, I can come in and look at the hue, and I can make it look a little bit more green, or I can make it look a little bit more cyanish. And then if I want to do a before and after, I can just click on the eye there, and I can see what I can get. The workflow is very fast and the feedback is in real time. And while I really like using this tool, it really wasn't built for astrophotography. It's a general photography tool. It doesn't know anything about H-alpha, OIII, star colors, narrowband palettes, faint dust, nebula cores, masks, nonlinear astro data, or the way color behaves in a sky image. And it also does its internal color math with less precision than what PixInsight would use. So I started wondering, could I build something with that convenient idea, but tune it more specifically for astro images? When I thought about creating my own color mixer, I didn't jump into starting to code inside of PixInsight. I thought that was a bridge too far. I'd never done anything like that before. So what I decided to do is see if I could build a browser-based prototype. This would give me a place to experiment with the idea without fighting the PixInsight scripting environment right away. The browser version would basically be my sandbox. I wanted to see if I could create the core feeling of the Photoshop color mixer, then start adding things that I wished I had for astrophotography. When I completed the browser, it was a functional tool, so I decided to put on my website, so if you want to play with that, you can. It's a little bit more limited than what I ended up with for the PixInsight script, but it's something that's there that's useful and you can play with it. You can find it by going to my Cosgrove Cosmos software utilities page. Scroll down and you'll see the Astro Color Mixer page. When you come up on that, you scroll down the page, there's a little bit of introductory material for the tool. And as you come down here, this is the tool itself. Let's start by loading up the image we were just looking at. The first thing I did was I tried to recreate the adjustment panel. So now we have the series of color vectors. I've customized these towards astrophotographic work a bit more, but we now have sliders, which can be easily reset. And we have our hue, saturation, and luminance tabs. If you notice in the luminance tab, I've added one more. There's a neutral vector in here where you can adjust the neutral content of the image as well. Once I had this sort of working, I started to add astro-specific ideas. And since this prototype worked, I mean, you can load TIFF images or PNG images, and you can output the same. I decided to put this up on my website, so if someone didn't have PixInsight and wanted to play with it, they could do that. Once this started to feel useful, the next question was obvious. Could I bring this into PixInsight? There was a big learning curve there, but eventually this became the Astro Color Mixer. Let's take a look. This was my first PixInsight script, so part of this project was just learning how PixInsight scripting works. But the goal was always clear. Take the convenience of the Photoshop color mixer, keep the workflow fast and visual, and rebuild it around the needs of astrophotography. Now we're in PixInsight, and I've loaded up my Wizard Nebula project. Right now I'm looking at a starless version of the nonlinear version of the image as we got to the later stages of processing. I'm ready now to start working on some of the color. I like to do a lot of this in a starless mode so I don't impact the stars, and wanted to use this for this part of the demo. So now once the tool is installed, you can come up into the script area. You'll see Cosgrove's Cosmos listed and the Astro Color Mixer. So let's bring that up. My goal for this first video was just to introduce the idea of the Astro Color Mixer, what inspired it, and what it looks like today. It's really designed to work with nonlinear images that are pretty much towards the end of your image processing. It can work with starred images or starless images. I tend to like to work with it in starless when I'm doing color. And what I'd like to do today is show you the easiest way you can use the tool to make changes. In subsequent videos, we can go into some of the more sophisticated ways I've adapted this tool for use in astrophotography. So when the tool opens, the first thing you really notice is the image. The target image that was selected when you run the tool is the first image you're going to see. Let's just take a walkthrough of the features of the new panel. At the top, we have the name, obviously, and we have the version number. The image that's open is the target image, and the target image is shown right here, and the resolution is also shown. If you wanted to move off and work with other images, all of the open images in your PixInsight environment are available. You can select them and refresh and work with them. You also have the option of telling what kind of image we're dealing with. Are the stars present or not? I'm going to say not. So this tells you a little bit about your image. The other thing in the header I wanted to point out is some informational buttons. We have a frequently asked questions section. When you click on that, you'll have a text file that pops up with a lot of questions I think people would likely have and answers to those questions. I also have a technical appendix, and the technical appendix will give an overview of the tool, talk about how to use it, but ultimately it gets right down to the mathematics behind the scenes so you get an idea how this was built. And finally, there's an about window that just gives the details on this particular version. On the left side of the image is where you're going to be spending most of your time. We have the color sliders, and each of these color bands have been somewhat customized for astro use. And you'll see names on the side. You'll see numerical values here. And you can slide these around and you'll have near real-time updates on your image here. So you can come in and make any change you want. And if I wanted to bring my oranges up, I can do that, and I'll be a little bit extreme. And you'll see the orange take shape there. And I can reset that by hitting that button here. I have the option of working in the hue space where I can change the basic rotation of the color. I can take a red and I can shift it more towards magenta or more towards orange. And so these are controls that allow you to just to get the color where you want it if you feel like it's off. I would warn you, hue changes are something you need to be very careful with. It's easy to go too far there. Then you have the saturation tab, and then the saturation is where we're going to spend most of our time probably. It's a very common one that I like to play with. The color gradients here are suggestive. They're not precise. So the real key is to go in the direction you want to go and use the change on the image as the real feedback for how things are going. Sometimes you want to just come in and do some modest adjustments to an image. Sometimes you want to be very selective. So we have this sensitivity knob, and that's right here. And I'm going to put it on advanced now just to allow me to hit things a little bit harder so you can see what things look like when I'm making changes. So here is your basic tool set in here. Now let's come over and let's look at this imaging tab a little bit closer. So we have the image being shown here, but we also have down in here some diagnostic fields. And if I were to click on any particular color, any part of the image, it will show me where that pixel lies in terms of the histogram and where it lies in terms of the color plot. At the same time I'm doing that, I'm selecting one of the sliders. This slider happens to be the one that's associated with the color that's in that particular image. Now, this doesn't mean I can't make adjustments on the other sliders. It just means my attention is right here based on where I just clicked. Now, my simplest use of the tool, I may bring up my image and decide what I want to do. Perhaps I wish I had a little bit more punch down in here, so I can bring up my saturation on my oranges. Maybe I want to bring it up on my yellows as well. Maybe I'll even bring it up a little bit on the reds. Okay, now I've made a real change in those particular vectors. Maybe I want to do the same thing with my blues. Maybe I want to really punch those up a little bit. Okay, I've obviously taken this too far, but now I can see what it was like and what it is like now. Those changes being made, I now have the option of saving those options. And in this part of the panel down in here, we have the output. And I have two options. I can create a brand new image. So when I do that, the tool will create a new image and execute, and you'll find in your PixInsight environment a new version of your image with the changes that you made saved. And so when I press this button, a new version of the image is made, and it's left in the PixInsight environment. Another option is to apply to target, which will change the image in place. Now, this change should be made such that it's part of its history, so you can easily undo that. But another reason it's nice to be able to apply it to the target itself is that if you have any masks applied to the image, they'll be respected by the tool, and the changes will only be applied to those areas of the image that's allowed by the mask. And you can see in this particular image, there's no mask involved, so that's not really going to happen. While I'm in this area, I'll just point out that if there's something that you tend to do a lot, say, for example, you're working with galaxies, and you always like to punch up the oranges of the core and punch up the blues of the outside, you can actually save a set of changes as a particular adjustment set and bring those in later and reuse them. Now, we're not going to go into the more advanced features in detail in this video, but I just wanted to point them out. I can do one set of changes I can leave, but the other thing I can do is I can try to address one thing at a time. And so what I can start to do is create a series of changes, say around the orange, and then I can come in and say I want to create a new pass. And a new pass allows me to do another set of changes that could have very different goals. Just lighten that or something. But the idea is I can do one set of changes at a time. And there's reasons you want to do that we'll get into when we get into the more advanced features. But I can do 2 or 3 sets of changes, each creating a new pass. And then I can save that stack of passes, or I can go back and edit and drop a pass out. The other thing I just want to point out without going into it in a lot of detail is we have the ability to change these color bands. In other words, I can change how wide the Hue radius is. I can change how I feather that information going into its adjacent Hue bands. And when I'm in a starless mode, I can also soften the image so that the internal color masks being used are being smoothed over. I can also decide what I'm looking at. Right now I'm looking at the adjusted image. But I can also look at the final mask that's being used to apply this. The reason that's important is as I'm making changes here, I can see how they're hitting the mask directly. So I have a smoothing of 3. If I turn that off, you can see how much sharper the image is. So you can use this to look at the actual masks that you're dealing with. And if, by the way, you're looking at a mask, you can come down and you can save that mask to PixInsight so you can use it for other applications. My biggest advice with this tool is to make smaller moves than you think you need. Color is really easy to overdo. I'm a high color guy, and often I go for a much more saturated look. But even I have to find myself backing off at times because I've gone too heavy-handed. A slider move that looks really great at first can be much too strong after you step away from the image for a few minutes and come back and look at it afresh. So I recommend working in passes, comparing often, using the preview as an adjustment tool, not just as a way to chase stronger color. So once I have the image in here, I think I'll just do an example of creating a new version of the image. And I'll work a little bit in the background. And at this point, I can quit. And here is the new version of the image. So that's the basic overview of the Astro Color Mixer and how I would approach its first use. In the next videos, I'll go deeper into the individual controls, how I use range masks and selected bands, how the pass system works in detail, and how to think about the technical side of what the script is doing. If you'd like to try this tool out for yourself, the repository details are on the Astro Mixer color page, and I've also included that information in the video description. I can tell you right now your feedback will be valued and appreciated and will help shape future versions of the tool. If you like the tool, rest assured that I'm not going to monetize this. All my utilities are free. I build them for my own use, and if you'd like to use them, I'm happy to share. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. I hope this tool helps you to get more controlled, intentional color out of your astrophotography images. For Cosgrove's Cosmos, this is Pat Cosgrove signing off and wishing you clear skies and excellent seeing.